Hi everybody, this is Tina with Rehatch Designs, and I am here with part 2 of making our covers out of our packaging. And if you didn't see part 1, I'd go back and show you that, because what we did is we took our Amazon packaging envelopes and some of the brown paper packaging, and we started making 3 different covers, and there are 3 different types of covers. And I suggest to go back there because we're on to part 2. Okay, part 1, this was the one that we did, that we said we were going to make a leather type cover with it, and we put kind of this duck canvas on the other side, and we glued that all down, and then we glued this, we crunched up our brown packaging, we crunched that all up, then we glued this down, and then only thing that I did from there is I just sewed around the edges, and I didn't do a great job, but I usually don't, but for the purposes of this, it will not really matter, because you won't really see any of that. This is to kind of help keep it down. You don't have to sew, but I would definitely go back and make sure that your edges are down really well if you don't sew it around when you do this, because it is plastic, and I don't know how well it'll bond for long term, or you could hand sew it around or whatever. But anyway, we're making a soft cover for a future journal, and at this point I haven't even made the journal, but some people were asking me. I made this approximately 9.5, and this is going to have like a 3-inch spine on it, so 9.5 by 6, and then it'll have a 3-inch spine, 1, 2, 3, and then so that'll be 6. So it's going to be 9.5 or 9 by 6 with a 3-inch spine, and that is going to be, it's going to be a big journal, but this is what we have so far on this. Okay, I do not know if we're going to have enough time to go through doing all 3, but I'm going to get as far as I can, so we may have a part 3, not sure, because there's a lot of steps in each of these. So I'm going to go as far as I can on each one, and then we will come back and finish it. I doubt very seriously. Let me see what my time is now, so I can kind of tell. We'll see. I just, like I said, we may not make it, but I'll do the best I can. Okay. Right, so anyway, here is our canvas duck side, and this is just kind of a beigey canvas, and so we glued that on, and then we crunched up our packing paper, we put that on, and remember we wanted to leave it crunchy. Okay, so here's the part that we're going to do now, where we make this look like leather. Okay, we're going to take, and these are things that I like to use. You can take your distress ink, and then I have my distress spray, and all this is an alcohol ink that I've made, that is made with, let's see if I can get it out so I can show you, because I use it all the time. Do I have it in here? Let me see. Let's see if I have that color. I'm sure I do. Here we go. I have alcohol ink, and it's latte, and I usually put that in there, and sometimes I mix a little bit of honeycomb, and it's Tim Holtz alcohol ink, and I just put in enough to get it to the color. I mean, that's about the color of coffee, and I use this all the time to kind of distress papers and things like that. If I don't want to do a whole, if I just have a few pages that I want I don't want to have a tag or something. But I use this all the time. It's well worth it. You can make it with other things, but because I use it so much, I do buy this, and I'll put about 10 drops in here and fill this in with just alcohol. And I just buy the alcohol from the dollar store, and I use this all the time. So I use that. This is just Vintage Photo. And then also I have, where did my other two go? Oh, let me see. Here they are. I have some smaller ones that are Rusty Hinge, and I have another one. No, I didn't. Okay, Rusty Hinge and Gathered Twigs. I also use sometimes just plain old brown shoe polish. Okay, you can use that too. And I actually think this works the best. Okay, so what we're going to do on this is first we're going to just distress it like we normally would distress. Where's my tool? Our journals or whatever on the edges. And I go all the way across. And if there is any plastic showing, you won't be able to tell when this is over with, but I don't think there is. So I sewed this pretty close to the edges so that there wouldn't be a big gap or anything. You can do it however, but if you do that, then you won't be able to see any of the packaging. And what you'll find when you do this like this, it really makes it has like a very cushiony feeling, makes it kind of squishy. It doesn't sound like plastic or anything. And I guess that's because you have the material and the paper on the other side. So that really does actually make a really good cover. And I do both sides. We are going to do some stuff to this other side, but first we're going to do this. And I'm pretty messy about it because we are going to like cover most of this other side. So anyway, okay, so what I'm doing here, you can make this the outside of your cover or the inside. I've made quite a few, and matter of fact, let me get one out here so I can show you. See if I can get over there. Okay. Covers like this. Let's see, here we go. This is another journal that I'm in the process of finishing, so I'll have to get around to showing you guys this whenever I get done. Let me see if I can show you this. Okay, this one, if you look at the outside of this, that is the cover. This is what this is going to end up looking like, okay? And it ends up looking like leather. This is a mermaid journal that I had done, and we will get into this, okay? But anyway, that's what it ends up looking like, and it feels really cool and just super. So that makes a really nice journal cover, and or a base for a journal cover or whatever. And it's not a tough process. All we did is, and you don't have to do it on the Amazon packaging. That one was done just on the paper glued on a file folder. So, but the important thing is it was the packaging though. I like the weight of that. It's not too heavy, and it's not too thin, and so that actually makes great covers. But I do like this for a soft cover. They make great soft covers. They're super sturdy. You don't even have to reinforce the spine or anything because it's a very sturdy package. I mean, a very sturdy cover when you get done, and it has a really neat feel to it. But anyway, so what I do is I will take my distressed, I like this one and I like this one. These two, matter of fact, let me get the bigger one first. These two work really well as to not overdo it at first. So I'll take my, this is just a makeup sponge that I got at the dollar store. You can buy these at the dollar store now, but you're just going to take that and go across this and just kind of distress it. It's going to completely, the cracks are going to show more than the rest of it, and you want that. You're changing the color basically, and this is why you did not want to get rid of all of the little cracks. And you just take that all over and do that. You're just going to go all the way across. And this applies it heavier than this, okay? So I usually do it with this first. Of course, make sure that your ink pad is very ink, up, so you're not having to work too hard to get some ink on there. And just keep rubbing it across, and it will change, the color of the this. And so remember when I told you the little dark spots that you can see a little bit under? You won't even notice those when you get done with this, because it will you can't really I guess you could, I don't know, you could kind of do this with that, but I don't know, I think it's a little harder to cover. This kind of seems to get the top more than it does the bottom portion of it, and I'm trying to get the whole thing, so this seems to do a little bit better job. But if all you have is your other, and if it doesn't go on exactly even, that's great, because that's kind of what you want. You want it to not look perfectly even, because you're trying to make it look like leather. You can already see it looks really cool. Now get up over here on the edges. You don't want to leave those off. You might want to use a smaller one or something and get in there. And then you can also see how that's changing. I used kind of a beige thread, and it's changing that, and that's great. So anyway, you go all in there, get all of the edges. And I like it to have a lot of variation in it, so I'll go across here and make sure that, and if you can see what I'm doing and see how cool that looks compared to how we started, that is really, just that alone looks very leathery. So, and you don't have to do this just on covers. You could do this for like a tag or something. Just crunch up your paper, put it on there, and it has that really cool leathery look. So and you really don't even have to do much more than this if you don't want to, but I add a little bit more character to it. Need a little bit more ink on there. And I basically just make sure I get the ink everywhere. Now the brown shoe polish, I was going to say, you can use that, and that's all you need. I've done a couple of them that way. The only thing is it dries a lot faster, so you have to move a little bit quicker. It absorbs quite a bit, so you have to be careful with that. But it does work. Now where we had our black marks there, what I'm doing is I'm putting a lot more darker things in there, and it will be disguised enough that you will not be able to really notice it. And if it really bothered you, you could put 2 layers of this on there. I wouldn't crinkle the first layer though. I would, if you're going to do 2 layers, I'd just put it on there kind of flat, and then I'd crinkle the second one, because you do want it to adhere well and not come apart. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I get these edges good, because we don't want it to look like, you know, it's a different color than the rest of it. And like I said, when you're at home, you take your time, you do things, and, you know, be meticulous about it. Okay, so I got that, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of my other colors, and I'm going to put a little bit of that on there. And I'm only doing that just to add a little bit more character. This is kind of an orangey brown color, and I'm just doing that to add a little bit more texture, a little bit more movement. And I'm adding that all in here. And you probably can't notice it that much, but what it does is it gives it just a little bit more character, a little bit more texture. Do that on the other side a little bit. Okay, and I doubt you can see how that added just a little bit more up here and there, and it gives it just, I don't know, just a little bit more of a natural. And then I'm going to take this, which one was this one? Gathered Twigs. And this has kind of a, I don't know, maybe I should get a piece of paper. I don't know if I have one handy. Isn't that funny? How you cannot have, here, let me see. That has more of a grayish tone to it, and I'm just going to put that in here and get that in different spots just to kind of, again, add more movement and make it look a little bit more worn and old and whatever else. Okay. Alright, and then I think I'm going to take this and put it on the edges a little bit because it's a little bit darker, and I want to add a little bit more of the dark tone on the edges, I think. So I'm going to do that, and I'm not going to do it evenly all the way across. I'm just going to kind of do it a little bit here and there. Okay, so that is what my color looks like. And I think we need a little bit more over here. Looks like we need more, a little bit over here. All right, so now that I have the color that I want, I'm going to go ahead and put the top on that. All right, I'm going to do my next step. And I mean, you could leave it like that, and that would be fine. You wouldn't, you know, it looks really cool, looks leathery, whatever. But I think the next step, here, I'm going to spray my hands a little bit right here because I do have that stuff all over it. I kind of think the next step really is what makes it very realistic. And, you know, some people, you can do two things. You can take Mod Podge and put that on there. I would definitely do a matte finish. You can do maybe like a Liquitex matte gel, and you can seal it with that. But I personally think what makes it look very realistic, and I didn't even use this Distress Pay, but you can use it. Okay, that's what I'm saying. A lot of times I'll spray that first, let it dry, but I didn't want to go through the trouble. The shoe polish, I don't know if I should, here, let me see if I can, I don't know if I want to get a bunch on there right now. Let me show you what that looks like. See if I have anything that I can use. You can take this and just kind of lightly go over it with this. It has a little bit of a darker finish to it, but what it does is it kind of gives it kind of a, I don't know how to explain it, but just a different kind of look over it. So here I'm going to go ahead and take that, go over it, and then it just looks darker really right now because it's white, but it just doesn't, it kind of goes and let me get it on here a little bit more. You don't have to do that. Again, it just adds another layer. I don't know why I tried it that time when I did it, and I kind of liked it. What it did is it's kind of like if you take a light brush like this, what it does is it kind of hits the cracks and makes them like a little bit darker than the rest of it. So I don't really know how to explain that other than you just kind of have to see it. It just goes over the cracks, and the cracks wind up being just a little bit darker. And I think that it just accentuates them a little bit, I guess, is what I'm saying. You could probably do that with like a glaze. But that's kind of what the shoe polish acts like, is kind of a glaze. It's kind of got a translucent look to it, and when you go over it, and this is just a makeup brush that I had, and it is gonna, and my other one would work too that I had earlier out. This one would work too. But you want something that's just brushing the top of it, so that way what happens is all these little cracks, they are picking up the color. So then you have kind of a darker color on top with a lighter color on the bottom. And that's what that kind of does. All right. So let me get some of this up, because it is going to get on my other side, and I kind of don't want it to. All right. So now here comes the next part that I was going to tell you. Like I said, you could at that point, you know, stop. I mean, and say, oh, that's cool. That looks great. You could put Mod Podge on it. You could put Liquitex. You could put any kind of sealer you want on there. But what I like to use is beeswax. And I started using this. I cannot remember. I even went and looked back and tried to find the video. But I did not have iron melter thing for beeswax, and I saw somebody do it with their heat gun, and I had a heat gun, so I thought, okay, well, I'll try it. But I will tell you that this works so good on this leather look, because I don't know, I bought these a while back, and you get 6 of them in here, and they last forever, and they're well worth it. It wasn't very expensive. But anyway, I believe I got that on Amazon. I looked, I could not find the exact same one, but I would look, and they sell all kinds of beeswax. And somebody asked me if you could use the paste wax or liquid wax, and I really don't know. I mean, I don't know. I may buy some sometime and try it, but I haven't, because the tutorial I saw, I used this. So anyway, I am going to put a seal on this, and not only does it seal it, but it gives it a feel that it really feels like real leather. It's just a really cool feel to it when you get done. So anyway, I'm going to show you how that works. So, and I'm going to go ahead and use these that I wipe my hands off with, because we'll need them in a minute. And all you need is your beeswax and your heat gun. And I'm sorry for the noise, but there's really no way of getting around this. And you don't have to worry if you get blobs. It doesn't matter. All you're trying to do is get enough wax on there so that you can kind of spread it around. And that takes a little bit. And what I do is while I'm doing this, heating it up, after my little wax bar's been heated up a little, let me move this over, is I just start taking it, and as I'm heating it, I just kind of go and just start covering my my book with it. Don't worry about getting it on even now, because we can fix that in a minute. And it's really cool. It'll go, it dries super quick, so it doesn't make a huge mess. And what you're trying to do is you're trying to get it to seep into the to your you know, your paper. Of course, you don't want to leave it in one place too long, because just you can burn your paper. The beeswax is not hot. The heat gun's hot, but the beeswax isn't hot. So if you get it on, it's not going to burn you or anything. The only thing, you know, the only thing that's hot is the heat gun. And you know, you hold it in place for a minute until you get some wax melted, and you just go all the way down it. It's not that hard. It's a pretty simple process, and I love the finish that this gives. Right now it looks wet, but it won't be. So I go all the way to just about the bottom, or the bottom, it doesn't matter. And like I said, it doesn't have to be perfectly even. I do half of it at a time. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back up toward the top, and I'm going to heat it, and as I heat it, I'm going to take just a wipe or paper towel. I like to use a wipe because I don't want too much of the wax to be absorbed as I'm pushing it around. But all I'm doing right now is I'm loosening up the wax again, reheating it, because you can see it kind of looks white and milky. And I'm just taking, and that actually means there's too much wax right there. I'm rubbing it in more, and I'm also pushing it around. Okay? So I'm just pushing it around. Pushing it around. Okay? And here you can see the UPC code on this now, because it makes it translucent, but that's okay because we're going to be covering that. So I'm saying if you wanted to do this to where you didn't want that to show, you could just do 2 layers of this. I mean, put the first layer down and then this one. But you can see the barcode there. Because what happens, I did another video on the beeswax, and it makes things translucent, so you'll be able to see that. But what I'm going to do with this cover, it's not going to matter. But if you were doing this and you wanted it not to show, just put 1 layer of this down flat, and then do your next layer that's scrunched up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put more wax on here. And all you're really doing is that when you're first going through, you're just trying to get the wax on there. And then, see, what's hot is your heat gun, not the wax. The wax is not hot. Okay, so you're going to do that all the way across. And see, it made this part translucent, but that's okay because you want, what I'm going to do with this particular cover, you won't be able to see it, but Like I said, if you didn't want that to happen, all you would have to do is put another layer of this, brown paper on there. Or you could cover it with like a white paper first and then do this. Okay, so we're going to get this, because I did a video out there on making things translucent, and beeswax will do that, and I actually like it doing it that way because it doesn't get sticky, it's easy to do. So again, I'm just kind of heating it up as I go. When you see little blotches like that, that's when you want to move it around, because it should be very transparent and not have it shouldn't have that milky look to it. If it does, then that means you have too much in one spot. So anyway, you just keep moving it around. You melt your wax, and basically all you're doing is this is melting this wax bar, and I'm just rubbing it as it melts across. And then what's going to happen is, now I've got enough on there, and you can see these spots that are kind of on there too thick, and I just go back and I heat them up, and it dries really quick, so you have to work with it quickly. But you know, if you don't get it all, you just go back and remelt it and remelt it. And the thing that you're trying to do is you're trying to get the wax in to absorb on the paper. So I'm going to move this around a little bit. Get it all in there. And like I said, if you're doing it at home, you're going to take your time with it. I'm kind of going pretty quick, so you go through and you melt all the pieces, the spots that look like there's too much, and mush it around, and eventually what will happen is you won't have any of those spots left. Okay, and you're going to wipe them all down. Okay, I'm not going to be a perfectionist right now because we have 2 other journals to do. But anyway, that's kind of the gist of it. Move that around. And as you can see, what it did do is it kind of made our little squishes in here see-through. But let me show you what that looks like though. Does that not look cool? That looks so cool. I want you to see that. I wish you could feel it. It's completely dry already, and it looks like leather. So that is, you know, you don't have to do it just on this packaging. You could do it on anything. And it's just so fun. And it did not take that long to do that. And I'm sure you can think of all the different applications that you could use it on. I'm kind of scraping off the wax right now, so I can use this little. Okay, so that is how you make the wax cover, right? And then we're going to do something with this side later too. But that is what we're going to do with that. And that is kind of how I'm going to leave it for now. But what I'm going to do, my hands are really sticky. Let me get this off of here. One thing about the wax too, it does not have like a sticky finish to it. It dries. It's really hard to explain. But this feels kind of hard. It doesn't feel like paper anymore. And it does have a really neat texture to it. And that's one reason why you would love to do that for this particular project. Okay, so now what I'm going to do with this, that's why I was going to tell you this part didn't really matter, is I'm going to take, where did it go? It's over here somewhere. I have all this lace and all these doilies, and I, believe it or not, I'm going to put it on here, and I'm going to make it kind of a, I don't know how to explain it, but a strange kind of leather and lace look to it. I like that one. That might work. So you won't see any of that other stuff, but that is kind of what I wanted to do. But I don't think I want it all the way across because I don't want to cover up all the leather. I think I may just do that. And honestly, I don't know what I'm going to be using this for in the future, but I wanted to kind of do something like that. And then when I tie in my signatures, I'll probably put another piece of lace across the back. And I'm going to put that on there like that, okay? And then on the inside, I'm going to probably put a couple of pockets. I don't know which one I'm going to use. I may use multiple ones. Let's see. I may use this. I don't know. Let's see. Put that in there. Yeah, I think I might do that. And I may go back and re-sew this. I'm not sure. You know, I probably will. So, and then I'm going to cover some of that. So let me do that portion here. And just to give you an idea of what it's going to be like, I will not probably complete this today. Because like I said, I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to do with it. But I do know I wanted this kind of leather and lace look to it. So I'm going to, I think that's the inside. I'm going to put this down. This is my almost done bottle. I'm going to put that all in there. And I may go back in and sew this. I probably will do some more sewing on it. Just because I like to do that. And then I'm just trying to use up the rest of this bottle. But you can see all the possibilities. And like I said, I wasn't worried about that showing through because I knew I was going to be covering it. But you could definitely just put one layer of paper. The only reason I wouldn't crunch the first paper is that you want it to be adhered well, especially if you're going to put a second layer of paper on there. Or you could go over it with gesso so that it wouldn't show through. That would also be a possibility. Probably be easier to do the gesso actually. And it dries very quickly. But I kind of knew that wasn't going to matter, so it wasn't a step that I was worried about. But like I said, depending upon what you want to do, like if you wanted to make that just a leather cover, then you definitely would want to maybe put the gesso or do something anyway. But it is really a cool technique. I love doing that. I don't know why I don't do it more. And like I said, that whole wax thing did not cost that much. I didn't do the wax before because I thought it would end up sticky and and it doesn't at all. It just has the, okay, let me see if I can get that on there fairly the way I want it. Is that kind of in the middle? Yeah, let's see. Yeah, let's see. We go like that. I think I want this more this way then, right? Okay. Is that the middle? I'll go the middle. That was a pretty good guess. Okay. Maybe this to go up a little bit more. All right. Anyway, this is kind of what I had in mind. And, okay. And we'll probably add more to this at some point. Okay. I don't know. That does not seem like it's on there as much as I want it to be. Okay. And then I will eventually have to cut this off on top. I'm going to wind up putting more lace on this too eventually, and I'll put pockets on the inside and I'll cover it with lace. see how we're doing on time here. I don't know. Okay, well, I better move along because we're not going to have time to get all the other stuff done. Anyway, I'm probably going to do that, and then let me get this other one. I'll put that in there. Probably go this way, I think. Yeah, I think that's the way I want it. I don't know. I cannot tell. Oh, they're about the same. Okay, so I'll probably do that. And I know I got a little brown on there, but I'm not concerned about it because it will be covered up eventually. Okay, so anyway, and I usually will take this cover and I'm going to fray this and make sure it has a little, you know, it doesn't bother me that that's frayed at all. I like that. So on the strings, that's fine. So I'm going to put that all the way across. I think I'll have to use my other one because that's going to be, it's not going to probably work. And I probably am going to go back and sew this again. You know, so. But. I don't know if there's a right or wrong way on this one. Okay, so I'm going to put that here. And that is going to make my 2 pockets, and get that down. It was kind of curled, so it's not staying down real good. I probably should have put that on top. That would have probably worked better. Let's see if I can get more glue down and maybe it'll stay down. I am going to sew it, but I kind of want it to be glued down too, so see if I can get that to stay now that I've put more glue. Now, kind of sort of staying. Let me get my clips, that'll help. So anyway, oh great. So this is going to be, this cover is going to be, I mean, another clip. Wow, this thing's being very difficult. It's wanting to curl really bad. These clips probably work better. And I don't want it to hang out too much. Okay, and get that side down. Put that over here. I need more glue. Just seems like it wants a lot of glue. Very thirsty cotton trim. Okay, so now I've got that on there. I'll trim it off in a second. So that is not all of my cover, but that's the gist of it. So that's how I'm going to do that one. And it's kind of, you know, a cool look, I think. But, you know, you can see the possibilities. And the reason I did this muslin on the inside is that I knew I'd be putting that on the outside, and I wanted this kind of leather and lace kind of look to it. So I'm going to be adding a lot more to it, but that's kind of where it's going to be for now. Okay. Yeah. Now I have all this glue all over my hands. Let me put that back. Okay, the next one, let me see on time where we're at. Okay, we've got about 30 minutes, so maybe I'll get the other 2 done. We'll still see. And they won't be completely done, but just I want to give you guys an idea of the possibilities of what you could do. I was on Facebook today, and I saw a lot of people talking about how much they hate making covers. And I love making covers. And a lot of times I'll make covers ahead of time and just have them and have no idea, absolutely no idea what I'm going to use them for. It's just whatever kind of mood I'm in, I'll make a certain kind of cover and it'll just sit there. And in fact, I have quite a few covers that I haven't done anything with, but I love making covers. And I actually thought about it. You know, what I may do is start giving away just my covers and maybe even selling just the covers, because I just love making them. Okay, so, oops, let me get that out of the way because we're not going to use that right now. Okay, so this is our paper cover that we made. And this one, all I did is of course, we glued our paper down, and then I sewed around it. And then I put just a thin layer of Liquitex on there. And it's just the matte gel, and I did it just to seal it, just because I wanted it to have kind of a canvasy kind of feel to it and make it a little bit stiffer, because I'm going to kind of mess this up a little bit. Okay, so what I'm going to do, and it made it stiffer, and I don't mind these little wrinkles here because that's kind of what I'm going for. And what I'm going to do with this, I'll get some of this glue off, is I'm going to take this and I'm going to distress it. Where'd my distress thing go? I don't know. I know I had it out. Oh, there it is, up there. I'm going to go ahead and distress this. So all I did so far is, you know, we glued it. I sewed around it like I told you I was going to do. I put just one layer of this matte gel, Liquitex. You could use Mod Podge. It doesn't matter. For this look, you really kind of want to have a matte finish to it, something that's not glossy. That's kind of why I use the Liquitex, because it dries very, very matte. It has no gloss on it at all. Otherwise, you know, I usually use just these $1 things of Mod Podge a lot of times, but even this has kind of a glossy finish. And so I bought this Liquitex not too long ago. It's lasting me forever. I got it off of Amazon, I believe, and I like it because it does seal it, but it's a very, very matte. You can't even see it, and you can see sometimes the brush strokes in it, and it's really used you know, for your paint to give your paint a smoother kind of look to it or whatever. But it's really cool because to me it kind of gives it a really neat finish. So it's worth the investment, and it's very good to use for collaging and that type of thing. If you're not wanting a any kind of a glossy type finish. Okay, so I am inking. I know this is so boring, and I'm going to do something after this that I probably should have done beforehand. Okay, so I'm going to take my distress tool, and you can use the side of your scissors. I happen to have this. I don't remember where I got it from. It says Making Memories. It's getting kind of gunked up in there, though. Probably need to work on that a little bit. Anyway, and all I'm doing this for is I am trying to rough up my edges a little bit. These are sewn together. It's not going to hurt it. It's not going to make it come apart. But the reason I'm doing that is I want kind of a rougher look to it. Okay. And I've already inked them some, and then I'm going to go back and ink it again, and it'll take the ink really well, and I want it kind of dark on the edges. Okay. And then I'm going to take on both sides, you know, I want it really kind of, I don't want any of the white showing or anything like that. Get that kind of rough. Okay, And then I'm going to take my lighter brush that we had, and this is just that makeup brush, and this is the inside, and I'm just going to lightly go over that because I want this to look a little bit distressed. I want it to look kind of old, like it's been around a while. Okay. Oh, and also too, I was going to tell you guys what the size was. This one I made 9.5, and I believe this is by almost 6. So this is going to be a traveler's notebook, but I made it a little bit taller for a reason, but you're going to see. Okay. So you're just going to do that. And then this side. I want this to look like kind of old, worn, just wallpaper. Just kind of, and you can't really see it probably, where you know, but the Liquitex gave it a really cool texture. Like, see right here, it just picks up those lines in there, and that's what's really cool about the Liquitex. It gives it just a little bit of texture, and it just adds, you know, I think, something to it. So we're doing that all over, you know, pouncing around. You don't want to probably use this one because it would actually add too much ink. You know, I mean, you could do that maybe toward the edges if you want them a little bit more blended, you know, a little bit more worn. You take that toward the edges, but I probably wouldn't use the other brush in the middle because it'll be too much. But I am trying to make it look old. Okay, and then of course any place that would normally be worn, like maybe the spine, you may want to go over that. Probably take that, go over it. Okay. So anyway, you would do that. You've got it all inked up. You got it all kind of looking old. Maybe a little bit more right here. You know, and get in the crevices. Otherwise, it looks kind of weird. Okay. So then, where'd the top go? You can take your sandpaper and kind of go like this a little bit. Make it look a little more. You don't want to go all the way through, of course. And then take your ink and go back over it a little bit. And you're just trying to make it look a little bit more worn here and there, okay? So then I'm going to get some of this ink off my hands. What we're going to do is on this one, I'm going to take, where does this goes here? I have a piece of burlap, and I want to take this piece of burlap. I don't know how big of a piece I'm going to put on here. Yeah, I think that'll be good. Okay. I'm just taking a piece of burlap. And this is all, you know, decorated to taste. You guys can do whatever you want. I'm just giving you an idea of the possibilities of what you would normally throw away can look like, okay? Let me see if that is a little bit crooked, isn't it? Go like that. Okay, let's see here. I don't know. Let's see how tall I want to make that. It's still very crooked. I am so bad at cutting anything straight, I'm telling you. Okay, so that side needs to be cut a little bit. Right? I think that'll be tall enough for what I'm going to use it for. Hold on. And I want it frayed. I don't want it all perfect. That's my goal. that this has been around for a while. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink the edges. And for that, I like to use, where did it go? This works really, really good. Another one of these brushes is the small one. You can use that, or you can use one of these little makeup brushes like that. Either one of these works pretty good to go down the edges like that. Like this one, you can go like that. And that way you can get just the edges a little bit. I mean, I'm not trying to get them evenly. I'm just trying to get them here and there. This needs to be frayed a little bit on the bottom. Okay. And again, I'm not trying to make it even. So this needs a little bit more on this side. So I'm just going across here and I'm just trying to just make it look a little bit more like it's been around, I guess. Isn't that what we do? Okay, so do that all over the edges and whatever. Okay, so now I'm going to get some of that out of the way that I've done that. The next thing I'm going to do, what did I do with my paper that I had up there? Where did it go? I cannot find it. Maybe it fell. I had a little napkin up there that I was going to use, and I cannot find it now. Where did we go? Huh. Well, okay. It was just up there. Hold on. I may have to just go get another one. Maybe it got knocked over or something. All right, hold on, guys. I'm just going to get another one, and that way I'm not changing my plan. That was weird. It'll show up. It probably fell somewhere. Sorry about that, guys. Anyway, so here's my piece of burlap, and I'm going to take a napkin that I have, and I want to make this look like it is. Let me get my tape that fell down 5 minutes ago. Where did that go? Boy, I tell you what, this is not a good film day for me, because I am not finding the things I need to find. I don't know where my tape went to. It just kind of disappeared. Alright, I'll see if I can do this without the tape. Normally you take a piece of tape. Where did my tape dispenser go? Maybe I can use a piece of washi tape or something. In the meantime, let me see. Let me see if that'll work. Yeah, I was looking for my Scotch tape, and my tape dispenser disappeared. I wonder if my husband stole it off my desk and then didn't put it back. Okay, let's see if that'll work. I've never tried it with washi tape. Okay. I don't think that's going to work. It doesn't stick enough. I have other tape over here. Okay. Here I am just spending all my time running around, guys. All right. Do this again. So, I have no idea if this will work. I may hang it up and not do this if I can't figure out the best way to... Oh, yeah, it's going to work. Okay. So that is going to get your layers of, is there two? There should be another layer on there, I bet. Let me see if it'll get that other layer on. Yeah, it is. Here we go. Okay, so your tape pulls off your layers, and there's usually 3 layers on there. I don't really need that right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do on this is I'm going to go ahead and pick out part of what I want on there, and I think I want just this Eiffel Tower and the Paris, but they're both not going to fit, so maybe I need a bigger, I don't think they are. Let me see. I thought I had measured before. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, and I don't know if I have any water in here. This is just a water pen, and I use that just kind of take out. I usually get more than what I need and then kind of go back in and I'll tear it again. And this works great to kind of tear your, to get it, you know, to go a certain area. If you've never tried that, you could just use a paintbrush too. That works, just a wet paintbrush, because that's what I used to use. This came in, I don't remember when I came with something for some, oh, I remember it was for these rulers, for my tear ruler. And I really started using it then, and it really does make a difference. So if you haven't ever done that. Okay, so what I'm going to try and do is I am going to put this down on here. Let's see if I can get move that over just a little bit. I'll try not to get the Eiffel Tower off of there. Right? Get some of this right here. I hope you'll be able to see it later. And then probably this down here is not going to make it. And you don't want straight lines in there. You just kind of want to have little frayed pieces, because with this technique, what we're going to do is we're going to put this on here, and we are going to basically just put that on the paper. It's going to end up looking like it's kind of painted on. So I'm going to take that. I still can't figure out what happened to my other pieces of, and I'm going to take a brush, and first I'm going to get this kind of wet with my, you can use Mod Podge for this too, by the way. I'm going to take my Liquitex, and I'm going to just paint this with the Liquitex. Okay. And it has a really cool effect when you do this, because it'll look like it's kind of part of the burlap when you're done, and maybe painted on the burlap. Okay. I don't know if we'll need that much, but I always put it on generously, and then put this on. It's probably a little bit too wide on that side, but that's okay. It'll be all right. And then we're going to just paint this directly on here, basically. We're just going to take your Liquitex or your Mod Podge or whatever you're using, and just put that on there generously, and really kind of go over it several times, because what that does is you'll be able to see the burlap through there. And it turns out really cool. I don't know if you can see that, but it will turn out really cool. And if it's broken up or whatever, that's great, because you want it, it really will look cool when it's done. It'll end up looking like it's painted on there. Okay, so I'm going to wipe some of this up. Let's see what our time looks like again. All right, we will see here. All right, so we've got about 15 minutes, I think. Let me make sure we're doing. I think probably what I'm going to do is end this one, and then we'll go to a part 3 because we're not going to be able to finish all of them. But this is eventually going to go on here. We're going to do a few other things to it. But that is kind of where we're at. We've got another cover we need to start. We'll finish this cover, finish the other one. I think we'll be able to get everything done in part 3. So I do want to thank you guys for joining me today, and I hope you're getting something out of this. Part 3, I'm going to try and complete the entire covers, and I promise I'll be a little bit more organized. I'm not sure what happened. I had all my stuff I thought originally, but anyway, thank you for joining me, and I will see you again next time.